Welcome back to Flying Upstream, the podcast that celebrates the rebels, the rethinkers, and the ones who dare to question the script. I'm your host, Kristyn, and today I'm joined by Hussein Hallak, entrepreneur, mentor, and author of The Dark Art of Life Mastery. Hussein's journey took him from Damascus to Vancouver, from losing over $1 million to redefining what success even means. This isn't about hustle culture or chasing titles. It's about the messy, beautiful pursuit of something real. Hussein, welcome to Flying Upstream.
Thank you for having me. I'm looking forward to it.
Amazing. All right, I want to get right into this. You said that the joy is in the pursuit of the achievement. And that's such a radical idea in a world that is obsessed with results. What does that mean to you personally? And when did that realization hit you?
I think what it means to me is that you really getting something, having something has a little bit of pleasure. Let's not deny that. Like, when I let's say I wanted very much the Mercedes SLS red one, and I'm sure if I get that, I didn't end up pursuing it, but I'm sure if I get that, like I would really enjoy it for a while. But then I think it's who we become. Like what I slowly realized after achieving a lot of the things I wanted to achieve. I wanted to become a rock star. So I ended up joining a rock band and became one of the top rock bands. Actually, I played in many of the rock bands in Syria. And I enjoyed a lot of the things that I wanted to do. I presented to 50 million viewers on the morning show on the #1 channel in the Middle East. So I did achieve a few things, but that wasn't like the achievement itself. Once it's done, it's like climbing a summit. That's it. You climb the summit. And then what comes after? So after achieving a few things, I was like, okay, but what else? What else is there? So throughout my journey, I realized that it is who you become, because that's the only thing you end up with. At the end of the day, I come back, let's say, from being in the outside world, I find myself with me only. And I have to ask myself, well, what did I actually gain? What do I get to keep? And what I get to keep is who I became during that pursuit in purpose of going after. So I become more thoughtful in what I pursue based on who I want to become. And actually, I flipped it as like, who do I want to become? And that became the pursuit itself. Does that make sense?
It does. And I want to just dwell on this for a moment because it matches perfectly with so many things I've heard from friends I know to Olympic athletes. Not that I know a lot of Olympic athletes, but I've heard that they win the gold medal and it's an amazing moment. And then the next day they wake up and say, now what? Right? You've literally the best in the world, literally at what you do. And
Yes.
Where do you go from there? And so I appreciate what you're saying because it is about redefining what success means. It doesn't mean that achievement. It's the journey, it's the pursuit, like you're saying. And I know that you've mentored hundreds of entrepreneurs. I'm curious to know, when you look at all those people chasing success, what patterns do you see? Like, what do most people get wrong about what they're chasing?
I think we define success, the biggest thing that we get wrong, and I got wrong as well, is we define success based on whatever success is being defined in our community, society, or whatever we live. So we adopt a definition of success that is not ours, and we think that's what success is. Because and it's natural. There's nothing wrong with that, because when we're first starting, we have no idea what that looks like because we haven't achieved it. So we think, well, that must be success, having a lot of money or having the cars or having the houses, all of that. And there's nothing wrong with that. That doesn't mean that's not an element of success, but we pursue it not because we want to pursue it. We pursue it because other people have pursued it, and that's what is being celebrated. So I think what ends up happening, and what we have an opportunity for, and especially right now, that we get to choose what is meaningful to us. And instead of going, let's say, on a path that is, let's say, 5 or 10 or however long years in pursuit of something that we adopted without being thoughtful about it, maybe what we can do is play around and find out, are we liking who we are becoming along the way? Because a lot of times we think well, I have to sacrifice, and and yes, you have to spend a lot of effort. You have to kind of suffer a little bit. But if you hate everything along the way, just in case of getting that, for example, let's say you sell out on all your principles. I'm just exaggerating. Let's say you sell out on all your principles just to get the money because that was what success is. You end up not, you end up with someone that you don't like. And I very much like Steve Jobs. He said every day he asked himself, if he dies today or tomorrow, would he still be doing the same thing? Because that means that when you're about to die tomorrow, nothing you have, like material stuff, even position and money and all of that, doesn't matter anymore, because you're not taking any of those with you. So what matters, what's left, is pure joy. Are you enjoying who you're becoming, or do you approve of who you're becoming? Does it align with who you really are? Because all of those things are gone. And I even pulled up the John Wooden's coach John Wooden's definition of success, which he says success is the peace of mind, which is a direct result of self-satisfaction in knowing you made the effort to become the best you are capable of becoming, which is competing with yourself and going after a vision of yourself that you love and you enjoy. Because at the end of the day, if all the world loves me, but I don't love me, what's the point?
Agreed. Agreed. And I particularly, I like what you said earlier about people take on the definition of success of either those around them or the society that they're in, which is a normal thing. I think probably nearly everybody does this. It's hard not to. It's what we are surrounded with all the time. And I'm really curious to know what your evolution was like. So when you were younger, what did success look like to you? And how did that change, in image compared to what fulfills you today?
Yeah. Well, funny enough, because I lived in Syria, we didn't have that, let's say, definition of success. That we didn't celebrate, let's say, certain entrepreneurs or anything like that. We didn't have that in our culture. So success for me at the time was to become a rock star, because I loved rock music, and I wanted to do that, and it was against everything that we were in Syria, because I listened to foreign music as opposed, let's say, to Arabic music, and that's what I wanted to be. In addition to that, another definition of success was to live up to what my mom and dad expected from me. So they expected that I always get the highest marks, that I'm always number one in my class and all of that. So that was, let's say, what at least I had to check that box in order to get some freedom. Like if I gave my mom the engineering degree, I have freedom to pursue whatever I wanted, because nobody liked the idea of going into music or to pursue being an artist and stuff like that, are not being highly regarded in the society I was in. So I gave my mom my engineering degree. That was like, okay, now I have my freedom. I can pursue whatever I want. So that was it. But when I moved to Dubai, that changed, because in Dubai was a more open and more entrepreneurial, I would say business-driven, not entrepreneurial, business-driven society. And you had Forbes, you have all these magazines that are celebrated, and people that are business people are celebrated. So that became my goals. Like, okay, that's what I'm going to pursue. And it's only when I got celebrated in the same magazines. Like, it's funny, whenever we think of something and put it in our mind, it ends up being a goal. So I ended up being on the back, in the inside cover of Forbes magazine, and I ended up being celebrated as the person who's going to change the face of art and culture in the Middle East by 2006, which was a significant accomplishment by that time. At the same time, I had all of that visible success. I was losing $1 million in the business, because I had made a ton of mistakes. So sometimes when we pursue success in spite or without paying attention to the fundamentals that we need to take care of at any cost, then the cost may be too high. And that's when I had to revisit that, because I had sacrificed time with family. I had sacrificed a lot of the things that I held dear and near to my heart. I was like, okay, once I achieve that, everything will be fine. I'll take care of everything else. I just need to achieve that. And it came at a significant cost, financial and I would say personal and mental. And that was the break. I think after 2007, it's like, okay, I can't live like that, and that cannot be my goal. And I started the search. It wasn't like, okay, epiphany, I know exactly what to do. It took me several years of research and searching, what do I really want, what matters most to me, until I kind of settled into, okay, it's the pursuit, it's joy in the moment. And that means adhering to certain principles in my life, family, recognizing what matters most to me, which will be different from me and other people. And that kind of completely transformed my life, I would say.
That's incredible. Before we get to your transformation, I want to take one step back, because you mentioned that you have lost millions. And I know you've lived through both extremes, huge wins and devastating losses. What did losing everything teach you that winning never could?
Well, the first thing that it taught me is that the reason why I didn't know the reasons why I was successful before that. By then, I had already started several businesses, and I've helped a lot of businesses, other businesses, and advised a lot of artists and entrepreneurs. But and it was, at the time, it was natural, because the business itself was going through a transformation. Just to give an idea for those who are entrepreneurs, the startup culture and the whole lean startup business model canvas kind of transformation in how we think about business happened towards 2008, 2009, and beyond. So the things I built business on, it was me learning on my own and testing a few things, but I haven't kind of settled into, these are the components of business success. I thought, I'll be driven, I'll do what I've always done, and I should get the same results. And that didn't happen. So that was one of the key things that I recognized. Failure taught me that I need more solid principles for success, rather than, just drive and gut feeling and stuff like that. Those are needed, but they're not enough. So that's the first thing that taught me. The other thing is that building on faulty foundation almost always leads to horrible results. So the idea of fake it till you make it is complete bullshit. The idea, like all of these things, like, just with sheer personality and drive, it helps, but you need to spend the time and take the time to learn, to study, to build. And that's the second, I would say, learning. The third learning is I need to have the right partners. One of the main reasons why I got the failure is I relied on partners. I didn't know what we call the mechanisms of trust at the time. In fact, after my biggest failure, I read a book called The Speed of Trust by Stephen M.R. Covey, who's the son of Stephen Covey, who wrote The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. And that gave me what the mechanisms of trust are. And I realized that all of what I knew about trust were, like, oh, trust is a feeling and how we feel about someone. And my partner was simply a scam artist. So that led to a massive, it definitely is one of the biggest reasons why that led to a failure. So I started to becoming more thoughtful and very, very selective who I partner with, who I work with, and having particular mechanisms of doing that.
Wow, that seems pretty significant, discovering that your partner is a scam artist and having to rebuild and go in a completely different direction. And I know that you talk about building clarity in chaos.
Mm-hmm.
And most people would run from chaos, or if there's a massive failure, finding out your business partner is not who you thought they were, or they're just have completely different goals. But you seem to just walk straight into it and really confront it head on, which is so admirable. How do you actually find clarity when everything around you is uncertain?
Okay, so I want to clarify one thing. So while it sounds really good that I run towards chaos, let me clarify that I am just like anybody else. I want things to be clear. I don't want to make mistakes, and I hate failure. What I realized after that is that, first, the world is chaotic and becoming more chaotic as we go, as we are going through a lot of transformation at the same time. It's the convergence of like all the transformations that we're having and the speed within which things are happening. the world is a world of uncertainty and chaos. So it's not like I run towards it, I accept it as a reality. So I don't try to pretend that, well, there's no chaos, everything's clear, and no, we know. No, I actually say, well, let's look at, for because chaos is there. There's usually a coat of pretending that, oh, everything's fine, and that's what I don't do. So just to clarify that, that's, I think, very important, and I work with a lot of entrepreneurs to clarify that chaos and uncertainty is reality. Failure is a part of success. So it's not like I celebrate failure because I like failure, is that it is part of what you need to do. But so once you recognize that, then you actually act with more awareness, and that is what gives me clarity. Is that I start as like, okay, there is chaos, or there's gonna be chaos. There is uncertainty, or that's happening, coming our way. So how can we prepare for it? How can we be ready to see through that? And since I expect it, and I know it's the normal state of being, when everybody's running like a headless chicken, I'm like, yeah, okay, I'm calmer, not because I'm better, but because I kind of anchor myself in reality. Somebody of my readers called me the realistic dreamer, which I really like it. So I dream big dreams, and I have very big aspirations, and my feet are anchored in the ground, and in reality, and in facts and data, and however I can to see through things. So when something looks too good to be true, I was like, where is the problem? So I'm always looking for that, not because I'm pessimistic, but because I'm realistic. There is always something that's not going to go right. So it's better that we're prepared for it. It's kind of like putting a seatbelt, not because the car is going to crash, but because that can happen. So that is how I approach things.
I love that. I love that you're very realistic, but also, like you said, the realistic dreamer. Like, you're also have big plans and you want to achieve a lot, but there's reality to it as well, and you got to address that as part of the plan. So I love that. And it makes me think too, that there's this myth that mastery means control, but your book suggests that it's more about surrender. How do you define life mastery now?
I've evolved that a little bit. So I call it now acceptance rather than surrender, because surrender means like, well, I can't do anything. Acceptance is more like, well, this is what's going on. I accept that this is reality. Now let me deal with it. So the reason control is a myth is because we don't control anything. Like, who controls, let's say, even the people who we think control the world, they don't. We like to think that if I tweet something, or if I let's say, if there's some sort of equation, like I follow, I was looking at the journey of Mr. Beast, who's like arguably the most successful YouTuber. And if you look at his journey, I was sharing with the team, like, he started in 2011, and up until I think 2015, he got like 10,000 followers or something, 10,000 subscriptions. So even he who took a lot of time to discover what would make him successful, and it also came with a series of coincidences. One of his first videos that went viral is him saying, subscribe to PewDiePie for 24 hours. That's what the video is about. Now, that doesn't come from a formula or somebody who's intelligent. It's like just an idea he threw there. It could have been easily a very failed idea. So the idea that we can do 1, 2, 3 and we get 4 is non-existent. The process doesn't exist in real life. What you can do is you can have some understanding of the mechanisms of things, how things work, and to test certain things until you find something that works. And if you are living in reality, you understand that what worked today may not work tomorrow. So if you accept that, and you accept don't have control, then mastery becomes engaging in reality, which is you accept this is what's happening, you try something, and then you try something else, you learn from the results, and you continue. So the idea is in trying, not in the process. And like not trying to find an equation to solve life, because nothing solves life. The silver bullet doesn't exist. The secret to success without hard work is still a secret. Nobody has figured it out, not even the people with Lamborghinis on YouTube who are telling us, just do like I did. So if that was the case, everybody would have figured it out. And nobody has yet, because there is no such equation. There is nobody control. Even the people with billions of dollars can control how the market goes. So that's why I call it a myth, because I live in reality, and you can try. And I've had successes, had failures, and I've met billionaires, have met other entrepreneurs who sold companies for hundreds of millions of dollars. And anybody who tells you, I know exactly how things are going to happen, and this is exactly what's going to happen, they're lying to you. They're lying to themselves, and they're lying to you.
I love that. And I appreciate what you're saying too, which is that there is no, you can't control everything. And it's sort of this mix of being reactive to whatever happens. You have to try to plan ahead, wear the seatbelt in case you get into a car accident, even though it may not be your fault, but also being proactive too. So a bit of the combination there can create the best for you. And I agree, there is no control. There is no magic formula, sadly.
Yeah, I like that you mentioned the car, because a good example of that is that doesn't mean, well, we drive the cars however we want. We put some rules, some guidelines. There are roads, there are rules, but that still doesn't protect us. We train on how to drive, but when we're on the road, we can't expect exactly what's going to happen, because even if everybody drives safely, a tire might flatten. Something might happen. So what we do is that what we do is we instead of expecting things to go well because we designed it that way, that's the control. Instead of that, let's invest in ourselves and be aware, always eyes on the road, always training as much as we want, committing to the rules of the road, making sure our car is up to, always in maintenance. So that's the mastery. The mastery is being active, expecting that things we cannot control. So what we do is we invest our time in making sure that certain things are in place, not as a control, but as a preparation, because we don't control things.
Right. I love that. Well, Hussein, we've got one last question for you. This has been such an amazing conversation. If someone listening right now feels stuck, like they've built a life that looks successful on the outside, but feels hollow on the inside, what's one question you'd want them to ask themselves tonight before they go to bed?
It's a question that has two parts. One, what I can't control, and who do I choose to be anyway? So if you're going to sleep or you're starting your day, I think just ask yourself, what can't I control, and who do I choose to be anyway, in spite of what I can't control? And just see what that answer is. And if you continue to ask yourself, you continue to engage with who you want to become, which is, in my opinion, the best way to engage with life, because you're focused on what you can give and the value that you add to the world. And that attracts to you, if you show up like that attracts to you the people that want to engage with that value and want to kind of engage with who you are and what you're bringing to the table.
That's so spot on. I so appreciate that too. And I am going to go ask myself that tonight. I'm already thinking. I love it. Hussein, thank you so much for reminding us that life mastery isn't about certainty. It's about courage, clarity, and the willingness to begin again. For our free spirits out there, if today's episode challenged how you think about success, head over to flyingupstreampodcast.com for more conversations like this one. Until next time, keep questioning, keep exploring, and of course, keep flying upstream.